For more on the current landscape of the U.S. housing market, let's bring in Ken Johnson. Ken is the Christie Kirkland Walker Chair of Real Estate at the University of Mississippi's School of Business Administration in the historic city of Oxford, Mississippi. Ken, thanks so much. Boy, existing home sales, they make up such a large percentage of home sales in the United States. The fact that they are creeping up somewhat. What does it say about the state of the housing market?
Well, it looks like we're off the peak of the cycle, but we're probably not going to see a crash this time around like we saw last time, which so many people are afraid of. More likely, because of the shortage in housing, we're going to see home prices, depending on where you are in the country, go relatively flat, meaning we won't have much appreciation for the next short period of time.
And that's kind of true. I mean, basically all across the country, housing prices have gone up, but just a bit. So talk about mortgage prices. They continue to fall somewhat as well. And everybody, of course, waiting for the Fed, but it's not going to mean an instant reduction in the amount that you're going to pay to finance your home. That's going to take, what, another year, year and a half at about above 6%. So what does this do to potential first-time home buyers?
We're probably not going to see those 2% and 3% mortgages again. That was a direct byproduct of battling COVID. Our policies led to very, very low mortgage rates. We're probably going to see mortgage rates between 4 and 6. That's pretty much a historic norm the last 15 plus or minus years. So, but that's going to take a little while longer still. But there's good news on the horizon there. The yield curve is flattening back out, almost assuming a positive slope, which that's real wonky for saying there's a good chance that we're going to start to see lower interest rates sooner rather than later.
Let's kind of break this down for what it means for first-time home buyers, because we've heard a lot of young people in the United States, 20s, early 30s, who have been desperately saving, trying to purchase a home, bemoaning the fact that maybe their parents have these interest rates, 2.5, 3, something along those lines. But from a historical perspective, kind of back up a minute. I remember when Jimmy Carter was president, wasn't it up near 18% at one point? So is 4 to 6 reasonable, and how difficult is it going to be for these young folks to buy a home?
Sure. If you see me smiling, that's driven by the fact is I was one of those guys during the Carter presidency coming out into the professional workforce. And yes, we saw interest rates between 15, 16, 17, even as high as 18%, double-digit unemployment. Very, very difficult to finance a home. It's difficult now, but it's not the worst ever. You will see in time, these things always work out. You're going to see an increase in density, the average number of people living in a unit, more intergenerational living. But as our incomes rise, our home prices flatten out, meaning just slow down in the rate of increase, then you'll see we'll get back to a very affordable period in terms of housing affordability.
Okay, now this next question may be a bit wonky, but new rules by the National Association of Realtors essentially eliminate informal compensation agreements, informal for realtors and or brokers. So what does this mean? Is it a net positive for the home buyers and sellers? How do we break it down?
Sure, this has been promoted as the new panacea. It's going to drop commission rates all over the country. And the truth of the matter is the odds of that happening are pretty small for several reasons. Most of what's being proposed has always been available. People just weren't talking about it. But they've somehow made this process more complicated rather than less complicated. Additionally, nothing in the settlement, nothing in the lawsuits is going to lower the cost of being in the real estate brokerage business on either the listing side or the selling side. In the end, I don't think we're going to see a lowering of commissions in the U.S. Because that underlying cost has not changed.
Yeah, these are people that aren't really attuned to leaving money on the table. Now let's talk about not just residential homes, but the commercial real estate market, because it is suffering in a huge fashion as well. Let's look ahead. The impact, what's it going to mean, Harris versus a Trump presidency, on the housing market and also the commercial real estate market?
So both sides don't have a really good track record in terms of housing. The Republicans tend to be much more market-oriented, and Democrats tend to be much more managed market-oriented. The truth of the matter is what's driving the market instability right now is the lack of builders in the industry. There used to be significantly more builders around the country. Many local builders were there that built that 50 to 100 homes a year, they're gone. We're not building enough houses. And I would encourage both parties, maybe this is something they can come together on and say, let's make it possible for more local builders to get back into the business and not rely almost exclusively on national home builders. On the commercial side, this is going to be a close call. We look at, I have friends and I talk to them, so this is their research, but a Dr. Cole, Rebel Cole, a friend of mine, looks at the banking issues, and this is mostly a regional, not national bank issue. But it looks like it's going to be close, probably might go on for a while. But once we have price discovery, there's not going to be a major bank issue that's going to come out of this, but you're going to see commercial building prices come down significantly.